Welcome everyone to Bite the Bullet. I'm your host Jay Reese, and today's guest, I gotta tell you, I'm excited for all of my guests, but Janet, I think holds a special place in my heart. Me and her bonded through the Power of Voice Academy, and she is just a very awesome person. So let me go ahead and just read just some of her credentials here. Janet Mckay is a highly sought after motivational speaker, most known for her incredible passion and high energy for helping people realize the power they have to create a massive ripple effect of positive energy and impact throughout the world. For over 14 years, she has developed and operated youth summer programs, creating outstanding experiences for thousands of kids and their families. She firmly believes that everyone has a platform to do great things for great people and has witnessed people of all ages shine and thrive when they are provided with opportunities to act in service on purpose for a purpose. Her signature talk, The Power of the Drip, has been featured on both live and virtual stages, inspiring audiences everywhere on the power each of us has to be the drip that rips and not the drop that plops. Shifting the mindset of students and adults to focus on how the choices they make at any given moment can cast a ripple effect of positive energy, changing the trajectory of another person when its intention is used to show kindness, compassion, and connection towards others. Janet Mckay is the founder of the INPact Academy, a platform used to share engaging stories through interviews with kids, adults, and businesses around the world who are jumping in to make an impact in people's lives with intentional, positive actions. The Academy also provides life skill training utilizing summits, online programs, special events, and group coaching. She believes together we can create a tsunami of positive energy throughout the world and hold steadfast on her mission for all people to be the change they want to see in the world by making an impact, one drip at a time. Everybody, let's welcome Janet Mckay.
Oh my goodness, Jay Reese, that was so special. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Beautiful to see you, my friend.
Oh, likewise, likewise. It's funny how when you get to really start to know people and you spend time with them, it seems like it's never enough. Or at least that's how I feel. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's how I feel.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
So in the intro, I mentioned be the drip that rips, not the drop that plots. I don't want to put words in your mouth. So please, can you enlighten our audience? What is this signature phrase that you have coined?
It's such a simplistic phrase that literally resonates with everyone worldwide. And the reason is the premise behind it is for all of us to realize that we are all energy, that our bodies are filled with energy. The world around us has energy everywhere, and our thoughts, our feelings, our actions all have energy. So when you take a drip and you see this drip dangling from a leaf, hovering over a puddle, and when that drip just falls from that leaf and lands in that puddle, making an impact, you see the energy and effect that it happens, and it creates those ripples that move outward, ring by ring by ring. So all of us have that power. One drip at a time, each drip where we are taking action to exude kindness and compassion and connection with others will create this energy and ripple worldwide as those ripples connect ring by ring by ring.
I love that. As you said, it's something that is so simple, right? That I wish everyone would do. I know I try to do that as much as I can in my life and just be the change you want to see in the world. So let me ask you, invoking change tends to not be a very easy thing, mostly because we can't control people, right? So I tend to wonder, why do you do what you do? Because trying to change the world or people isn't necessarily the easiest task in the world. So why do you do what you do?
Because it all starts one drip at a time from the inside. The only way we can make changes to our outside experience is to change what's happening inside ourselves, inside that massively beautiful place between our ears and in our heart. So the more that we are able to build ourselves or build our mental health muscle within ourselves, it's the ability to then create the change you want to see in the world, because your change comes from within you to make it manifest to the outside world.
I love that. I love that. So how does your cup never go empty? If that makes sense. Because I know giving and sharing and doing for others, it takes at least it takes a lot out of me. Because I know my personal behavior is when I spend a lot of time with people, I have to come back and re-energize. So what do you do to stay energized and stay focused and stay balanced?
Well, it's basically a law. It's the law of reciprocity. So the more you give, the more that comes back to you. Maybe some people call it the boomerang theory, whatever it is. But the more you give, the more. And I always say to people, you must fill your own cup, because if you're pouring from an empty cup, you have nothing to give. So I fill my own cup, so that cup runneth over. So then I have ample energy, ample positive mindset to be able to give that to other people. And this is a process that's been in the making for 30 years. Like, I did not wake up as Mary Poppins on crack. I literally, as people sometimes have referred to me. I love that. This has been an ongoing process. Personal development has been a part of my life, like steadfast, for at least 30 years, which is why I'm so passionate about getting it to the youth and getting those mindset skills to them at a younger age, so they have tools in their tool belt. So when a curveball comes their way, or a pandemic hits, or their parents lose a job, or whatever the case is, they've got the strength and intuitiveness to rise above and just figure out a way. Everything is figure outable, and we have to help provide people with those tools. Listen, there's going to be I call it the Eeyores versus the Tiggers. There's always going to be those people, right? Where it's like this great cloud just hangs over their head all the time. And then you have the Tiggers that are just bouncing off the world crazy. But I prefer to fill my world with a little more of a Tigger. And I really try to keep the Eeyores kind of in their pen as best as possible.
Yo, I like that. Like, anytime as soon as I start to realize I have an Eeyore in my life, I start distancing myself real quick. So if you're watching and you're wondering why I haven't spent time with you, I've labeled you as an Eeyore.
Maybe you're an
Eeyore. So you kind of briefly mentioned, I mentioned in your intro, the INPact Academy, and even you just alluded to it just now. Could you elaborate more on what it is, what it does, and who's it for?
Yes, beautiful. Thank you. And I get very excited talking about it, because the one thing that actually happens a lot is when I showcase INPact Academy, I will get messages back. Excuse me, but I think you spelled it wrong. It's supposed to be INPact. And I said, oh, exactly. Let me tell you why. Our academy makes such an impact, and why it stands for INPACT, because it is our ability to jump in. It's a choice that we are personally making, to jump in, to make an impact in changing the lives of somebody who's with us at that moment, or jumping in to do great things for great people. So INPact is just that. It's an intentional, positive action, making a choice to jump in to make a positive difference in someone's day, in someone's life, in someone's week, whatever it is, serving others and putting the goodness of others first. And so what we've done is that through INPact Academy, what I found in the over 15 years that I've been running summer programs and working with the youth sector ages 3 to 15 plus, is when you give people and children opportunities to serve, to do good things for great people, they thrive. And when we started doing that using our own platform, our summer camp program, to do that, what I found is that stories started coming to me. Stories of children that I heard about that were doing these things on their own, raising money for a cause or doing whatever it was. And so these stories started coming to me. So I said, I need to feature this. I need to use my platform and my voice to highlight that which is good in the world instead of the continuous negative news that we're getting bombarded with through television and social media. So so now I am interviewing people worldwide, stories from Africa, from Australia, from the Philippines. I mean, everywhere. There's always, there are these people that are doing these great things for great people. So I want to talk with them and I want to showcase who they are and what they're doing to let people know that there is good that's happening around the world. It's not the news that you currently are turning on and seeing right now.
I love that. Like from day one when we met and you started telling me about the INPact Academy, it's just it's one of those things that almost sounds too good to be true kind of thing, but it is true.
It's true.
So I love it. I love the whole thing. So I know, like you've said that you've been doing things like this for about 30 years, and the INPact Academy is 14, 15 years in the making?
It actually kind of came to birth. You know, it was birthed, so to speak, only just a few years ago when all the pieces starting falling into place. But I've been operating and developing youth programs for over 15 years. So in all of that experience that I had in creating these amazing experiences for kids and their family, and then identifying and using our platform after a spaghetti swim in 400 pounds of spaghetti with over 200 kids, that's a whole other story, is realizing that when you have a platform, each one of us has a platform. This platform right now that we're talking on is a platform. Our home is a platform. Our community is a platform. Our business is a platform. Who we are is a platform. And when you use your platform to showcase people, INPact Academy was birthed because it's a place not only where interviews and stories can be shared, but we're working on developing a place where teens and kids and adults can go to, where they can start learning life skills online, taking programs online, and getting those tools, much needed life skills tools that are not being featured in traditional school setting, that they can hear about, learn about, learning public speaking, learning positive mindset, learning money management, and all of that is in the making too. So it's kind of evolving into something that I've had a vision for, and to see it kind of now starting to really flourish and be known out there is just so exciting. So exciting.
I'm loving that because I have two children and they're both homeschooled. And it's funny to me how when I was in public school, I didn't learn life skills. I didn't learn how to balance a checkbook or just things that you need to know, like how to change the tire, all that stuff that you might need to know in life. And it's so great to hear that you have this place where even adults who might not have had the opportunity to learn stuff like this, they can. So that's just phenomenal. I love that idea.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that what I found in working with the kids too is that there are some kids that are just not academically strong. For them to sit in class and go through math class, you know, they may be suffering academically, but when you find that passion, when you find if it's in art or if it's singing or if it's in the arts or if it's in fashion or if it's in whatever it is that lights them up on the inside and creates a fire in their belly, when you start fueling some of that, their academics will also start to shine. And also start to improve, because now the energy is being used for the whole package, not just one-sided where this is what you're supposed to do and these are the grades you're supposed to get. It's like, no, find out what lights Johnny and Susie up and give them opportunities for them to do what lights them up and provide these tools. Like I said, it's really, I'm heavy into the mindset. That's one tool for me that, you know, in the way I grew up and you know, again, because as we get older, we wish we had this back then, kind of, you know, and so it's our job now to make sure that we're providing that which we didn't have back then to now have it now is coming to play. And I feel that's my duty and responsibility to make sure that before I leave this planet and take a dirt nap, like Les Brown will say, that I've made that, at least put forth something that somebody else can benefit from the knowledge that I've gained over all this time.
Yes, as our mentor would say, rob the grave, right?
Rob the grave.
Oh, man. And yes, like I'm a firm believer that even as adults, you have to figure out what you're passionate about, because if you spend the time learning things you don't want to learn, not that they're unimportant, but it's just you need to spend time with your passions. And it's easier to raise a child than fix a broken person, you know? So I'm in full belief that it is important to start understanding and figuring out what kids gravitate towards. In fact, there's a school out in California. I want to say it was created by, I think, Susan Cameron, James Cameron's wife. They started a school that's similar to what you're speaking about now, about how you just take a child's passion and figure out what that is. And clearly, like, you still need to learn how to read and write and all that stuff, but know what their passions are. And to see that you're even doing it with an adults, children, teenagers, anyone who's willing to learn, again, phenomenal. I love it.
Thank you. You know, we are all here, placed here on purpose, for a purpose, and with a purpose. And we spend our whole life literally trying to find what that is and figure it all out. And there's just so much time that sometimes is wasted in just the, oh, what is it? What is it? And then, but once you can really tune in, tap in, and turn on to that which excites you, that's the first start. Once you get that little, ooh, I love this. Start doing more of that.
I agree. You know? There's a quote by Albert Einstein that I didn't stumble across until I was well into my adulthood. But his quote goes something along the lines of, everyone is born a genius. But if you ask a fish to climb a tree, even that fish will feel dumb. Right. Mm-hmm. So when I read that, I was like, oh, my God, the light bulb was like, why am I sitting here trying to do stuff that I that's not for me, you know? So it's just, I think that's just, a lot of us need to hear stuff like that and just be able to accept who we are and what we can do. Not that you can't learn new things, but do what you're good at.
Right. And it's never too late. I was just on a recent show as a guest recently, too. And it's like, it's never too late ever. Like, whatever your age is, you can always shift, pivot, just reimagine it, reinvent yourself. There's just, you know, if you don't like where you are, move. You're not a tree. You know?
Yes, exactly, right?
You're not a tree. So you have options. So I love that quote too. I think I posted that in one of my daily inspirational posts. But yeah, if you're not happy where you are, do something else. You're not a tree.
I have family members that I talk to them pretty regularly, and a lot of them, they'll complain or they'll fuss about their daily lives or situations. And just like how you're saying, it's like, you're not a tree. Move, do something different. If you don't like your results, change what you're doing. So it's just,
and it's okay to change. It's okay to ask for help. It's a sign of strength. We're always taught that, you know, we grow up like, oh, it's a sign of weakness if you ask somebody for help. So we grow up thinking that, oh, I don't want to show myself as being weak, so I'm going to try to figure it out on my own. And you waste all that time trying to figure it out when you just ask one simple question, and it opens up the whole door for you, instead of you going through a whole keychain of heavy keys that are just not going to open the door for you. So anyway.
I smile and I laugh coyly, because honestly, that is a lesson that I'm still learning. It's just, as you said, like, growing up, you had to do it yourself, figure it out, go out there. And now I'm learning no one can do everything by yourself. Just ask for help. If they say no, they say no. Just go ask. Don't hurt to ask. Right. So with asking for help and changing our lives and doing multiple different things, I feel it's safe to say, Janet, you probably have had your share of failures, and failures are good. I think of failures as a good thing. So is there one particular failure that you can pinpoint that you learned a lesson that has changed your trajectory or just changed your life?
Yeah, I think the biggest lessons I learned is when I identified that which I didn't want to anymore do. And I think for me, that was like, it was really like a whoa, like, I really do not want to do this. And so it would just kind of what gave me that mindset shift to just then change it. And here's the amazing thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
When I announced that it was a position that I had, and I was just miserable in this, in this situation. And when I kind of announced it out loud, crazy things were happening in the sense that, and again, I do a lot of mindset and positive mindset work. Other opportunities all of a sudden just started presenting themselves to me. Like when I got that block and I made the declaration that this is not what I want, it was like, okay, then I've been waiting for you to tell me, like, do this, and that was really just a tremendous thing. And I mean, we all have our stories of our childhoods, and we all have these stories of where we've been knocked down. We all have these stories, and in all honesty, often when I'm asked that question, it's a hard one for me to answer because I just don't allow myself to be stuck in stories, stuck in those kind of stories. And one thing that I know our mentor says is, when you get knocked on your back, when you get knocked down, make sure you land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. And I literally heard him say that. And I said, he's like my brother from another mother. I was like, oh my gosh, like, yes, like everything is a lesson learned. And in all honesty, there's many times I really felt as if I was switched at birth, just based on some of the situations that I had growing up and whatnot. But I just see them like these things just happen. Like, and I do believe, especially, and again, this all comes with age, people. That's why we want to share it with you at an earlier age, is that really, truly life does happen for you. It does not happen to you unless you let it happen to you. And people, if they switch the simple words of have to get to, those doors and things will just start to move out of the way as you pick your lane. And curveballs happen, but when you try to stay in your lane, those opportunities will kind of start opening up for you. And it's just being aware that when the right opportunities happen, you listen to your intuition, you train yourself to know what those feelings are, because they're put there for a reason, and to not ignore them. Because I don't know about yourself, but if there's any of those times where you knew in your gut and you were like, oh, if I do this, then, and you did it anyway, well, what does it do, right? It turns around and bites you in the So we second guess that intuition, yet that is probably the biggest tool that's just put inside us, like right at birth. All right, I'm giving you a tool and it's there for you to use. And but instead we tuck it under the rug and we're like, oh wait, this isn't feeling, I don't know, I'm scared if this doesn't feel like it should, and whatever, you second guess it. And 9 times out of 10, we sit there, coulda, shoulda, woulda, when all of a sudden a situation happens, like, oh, I knew it. I had that feeling. I knew this wasn't going to be the right fit. And we have to pay attention to that.
I think you're 100% correct. I'm not a man of regret, but any time that I look back on my life, the moments that I do regret typically are times that I didn't listen to my intuition, or when I was listening to someone else and again, weren't listening to my own intuition.
There's a lot of noise. There's so much noise out there that we need to have those moments. And that's why a morning routine is also so critical when it's so quiet. That's why I get up at 5 a.m. to just have that time where there isn't the noise, and I can really focus on setting my day up for success with quiet, with internal work, with reading and exercise, and getting into nature. That's just so important. It's such an important time. So trying to get teenagers to realize that the 5 a.m. club is really like a rocking place to be is kind of hard,
I laugh because at the time of this recording, I have a 15-year-old daughter who waking up early is not her thing right now. It's definitely not. So, but I agree with you. There's something about waking up, I guess, between 4:30 and, dare I say, even 5:30. It's just those morning hours where it's silent. No one's there to interrupt you. You're up with the dew. It's peaceful serenity. Thoughts come to you. You're able just to focus. Like I'm not sure what it is, because I don't wake up at 4:30 anymore, but my body usually wakes up around 5:30 ish, and that's usually when I get up and start my day, similar to yours.
Yeah, which is beautiful. There is this incredible energy right before that sun pops up. And it's just it's too magical not to want to grasp onto it each and every time, for sure. It's just, there's just something about it. And that is when your mind is most open, that we call it the shower moments. Typically we'll shower in the morning, right? So I had the shower moment. I'd be on the phone calling, my assistant director on our way to the program, and I'd be like, I just had the thought, and I would go ahead and we would like implement it that day. And he's like, well, if you said it was a shower moment, then we got to do it. I'm like, absolutely. And it was like genius. And so that's why if you're sleeping through those shower moments, you're gonna miss it. So grab onto that. That's golden hours.
Yeah, it's to the point. It's to the point now when, I never really call them shower moments, but now I definitely will start. Anytime I get out the shower, any moment that I remember having immediately gets recorded into my phone or typed in my notes or something like that, because there's a reason why all those voices,
downloads. Yeah, they're all downloads. And that's why I love these phones, because I'll, even when I'm walking on the boardwalk or doing my walks through the trails and stuff, all of a sudden, you get that download and you're like, oh, I don't have a pen and paper. I have my phone. And all you have to do is just press a button and record it. And you're like, oh, thank you. Thank you for this device.
I tell my kids all the time, like, my kids are extremely blessed and they're very fortunate. But both of my kids have cell phones. And I tell them all the time that your cell phone, yes, it's entertaining, but it's not a toy. It's a tool that you can use to progress your life if you're using it correctly. So just like how you're saying, Janet, anytime I have a thought, anytime something happens, even if it's just a little thing that might not amount to anything, it gets recorded, it gets written down. And at some point, I'm sure I will look back at it to see what it was.
Love it. Love it. I do these daily drips. And last year I did 365 days of inspiration, where every day I did some sort of inspirational post. And it's funny because you miss a day and people are like, wait, where's the post? And which is kind of exciting because then people are watching, right?
Right.
And I stuck to 365 days of inspiration. And so now I kind of just call it the daily drip, but that's exactly it. Like a quote or something will just download to me. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to save that for the, for the daily drip. And, but it really is, it's a great tool, and a tool that we also just have to be very conscious of, because you can suck the life out of you with some other scrollings and things like that. But in any regard, it definitely is a tool. So that's another thing to just work with kids on too, is that how do you use it as a tool and not just a babysitting entertainment device? So.
Yeah. Well, for me, I mentioned earlier that my kids are homeschooled, and they have projects that they have to do. So a lot of time they use their phones, they use their tablets. So that's kind of my way of reminding them that this is more than just a toy. You can use it to find things out. Or my kids, they'll come, like, my parents were very old school. Well, I was raised primarily by my grandmother, but both of my parents are very old school. So anytime I would ask them something, I had to go look in the dictionary or the encyclopedia or stuff like that. So unfortunately for my kids, they have the same kind of father. Like, I tell them, go look in your phone, go Google it. You'll figure it out. So
Google is your friend. Yes, exactly. I love it. I was actually teaching a CCD class, and they all want to be on their phones, right? So I said, all right, here's what you have: homework with your phone. And they're like, oh, all right. And they just had to go around and they had to take pictures of, I call them God's gifts, where it's just like a beautiful sunset or whatever it is. And then they would come back and share it, with the class the next time. So they were interacting with each other. They weren't just like this. They were sharing what they brought and why it meant, what it meant to them. And I had a whole sequence that I put together in that regard of different signs that they would look for and capture. And then they came back and they would discuss it with their groups and stuff. So it was phenomenal. I was totally off curriculum from what I was supposed to do from the ditto, but I was like, no way, I'm getting to these kids, so let's do it.
But I love that. That sounds like such a great creative idea of getting the kids, one, outside in nature and around, getting them to interact with their environment, plus their colleagues, should I say. So I love that idea.
Can I share one thing that happened actually? One of the projects that we had to do. Okay, yes. So this just lit me up on fire too, because so there was a student I had in my class that was just so quiet, and I knew him for years, but just one of those quiet dudes, you know, and wouldn't really engage or interact much. Well, one of the assignments that we were supposed to do based on curriculum is, you know, just identify, you know, different. It was the signs of the cross, right? So great. I said, well, homework. And they're like, oh, and I go, you're going to go around and you are going to find signs of the cross throughout your environment, wherever you are. Take a picture, right? So here's the coolest thing. Here's this young teenager, you know, where they're so quiet. And so he comes to class and he literally is excited to show me a picture that he had taken. He took a couple, but he took a picture. It was a basketball, and the seam of his basketball he saw had the cross. And he said, so Mrs. Mckay, does this mean that, you know, God's with me on the basketball court? And I'm like, woo! I was like, yes. I mean, it was just so fantastic, but that he made a connection. And that's why I talk about impact. Not only is it kindness and compassion, it's connection. And that's how we're getting a global effect of tsunami, of worldwide kindness, because our energy and the ripples that we create, those rings of energy are the things that will connect. So we don't have to worry about healing the whole world. Be responsible for the energy that we're emitting and the ripple that we're creating. And those rings, as they continue moving outward, will link with your rings and my husband's rings and well, whoever I'm with. And that's how you'll just feel. And you can feel energy when there's an activity that I do. But in any event, so I know I went off on a tangent, but I just get so excited about that, because that's how, you know, the law of attraction, the law of reciprocity, the third law of motion, you know, I mean, it's just all of it is out there responding back to us. So what are we putting out there? Are we being a drip that rips or a drop that plops? Which means a plop is a negative thought. It's a negative action. And when you do it, you just falls in sludge where there can be no ripple. So you bring up a very good point. And I feel you're right. We can't control everyone else, and that it's very important that we take ownership of our own actions and be that drip that rips and has a positive effect on the people around us. However, during the world halting pandemic, COVID-19 right now, it's difficult, dare I say, challenging for a lot of us to get to be around other people. And a lot of us are having to face those inner demons and inner turmoils inside of ourselves, or even just the environment that we're in. So do you have any suggestions of how to stay focused and not waver in your beliefs or someone else's beliefs? Because again, in the situation we're in, I feel like it's very easy for people right now to kind of be down and not positive. Yeah, living in the sludge, 1,000%. And especially now, I too truly worry, not even worry, but have concern over the mental health of everybody, because we are isolated. There are people living by themselves. There are people, my brother's in an adult home he's got severe Parkinson's, and he was just given the word that, you know what, they're on lockdown. So he's not able to come home to my house for Thanksgiving. We are seeing this all over. And it's very, very hard. So this is what you can do. You are home. You have time on your hands. Use that time to fuel your mind with positive and engaging and inspirational words, music, movies, podcasts such as this, anything and everything. Choose to fuel your brain with that. And at any time, send a message out, reach out to somebody that you haven't spoken with, do something for somebody else. At all times, do something for somebody else. And it's truly the magic of the power of G. And I will always say, what's the power of G? Gratitude. I don't care how horrible or a situation is, there is always something to be grateful for. And an activity that I had people that I work with do is, during this pandemic, so many people focused on that which was taken away from them, the hardships. And I get it. People lost their lives. People are losing their lives. We're right back to where we were. These numbers are ridiculous. And people have lost their jobs. So what I have people do is I say, I want you to write a letter to COVID-19 with 19 things that you got out of this situation. Time with your family, making a fort with your kids on Halloween because you weren't able to go trick-or-treating. I saw you post about that and I thought that was just fantastic. I mean, would you have done that if that, right? If the situation wasn't what it was? Doing that project that you've always wanted to do, now is the time. Invest in you. Would we, all the mentors that I've ever had the golden opportunity to work with always have come back to say, you've got to invest in you. And when that sludge moment happens, allow yourself the pity party, give yourself the grace, because guess what? We're human. Like I said, I'm not always, rainbows and unicorns, right? Well, I'm not. So it's very important that we realize that we are humans and that we are going to screw up. There are going to be moments of suck. There's going to be hardship that's happening, but we have to make sure that we're in a state of gratitude. And as soon as you wake up, it's that gratitude that guess what? You've got air in your lungs, which means you have the ability to make an impact in someone's lives today. Why not make an impact in your own life so that then you can give it to somebody else?
No, I agree with that 100%. And if I may add to that, on social media or even like in my personal life, a lot of people jokingly call me Mr. Positivity. That's kind of just become my handle. And it's
That's
not
why we connected.
Exactly, right? But as you were saying, it doesn't mean that everything is rainbow and sunshines. It doesn't mean that every day is a good day. But what it means is that even when today isn't a good day, we're still going to try to find that good in the day, right? And I understand that there are people out there who unfortunately are in a toxic environment and they can't go anywhere else. But as Janet is saying, it's very important that even when you're in a situation that is, for lack of better words, horrible, there's something else around you that you can still find good in. You don't have to stay in that situation. It's a momentary moment. Even if it happens multiple times, there's still something to look forward to. There always is. Always.
And you know what we have the power to do right now is that sometimes when you're in that state, and I often will say to people, your situation does not determine your destination, right?
Yes, exactly.
So what we need to do is that if there is this noise of negativity, of a toxic relationship, of just an environment around you that just isn't fueling who you want to be, we have headsets. Go somewhere. Read a book. So many people I know use reading as their therapy, as their escape. Yeah. Do those things, right? And really just tune out that which you don't want inside of you, and just put on that's the beautiful thing about Google. There are 1,000 and a billion different inspirational things that you can tap into. And I'd be happy to share a list with whoever is seeking it from your show, because there is so much that's out there. And just put those headsets in and just start dancing, just start, just separate yourself in the best way you can. And here's another trick, because I'm in sometimes those situations, sometimes those situations are our own family, and it's not like we can get out of their way, right? And they're just like, oh, especially with the holidays. And I always like to talk to people before the holidays, because you know what? They need to find where they can go to get away from Aunt Susie or Uncle Bill, or I'm just using those names, but I guess we all have an Aunt Susie and an Uncle Bill. And, where it's just like, as soon as they come over, you're like, oh, and so how do we get past that? You become a master at changing a conversation. So as soon as the conversation starts going, oh, Janet, did you do your hair? Oh, do you like it? Or something, whatever it is, they'll just start, you'll do something and they'll find something negative about it or whatever it is. Switch that conversation. Just don't even allow it to go past to the next word. Just I'm like the queen of switch the conversation, to the point of now these people will sit there and tell you, oh, there she goes, switching the conversation. I'm like, why not? Let's change it to something better. And you switch the conversation by asking a question. And it just takes their attention off of you and you back to them. And then you can then kind of start to control the dialogue that's coming to you as best as you kind of can. But that's a little trick.
No, you're exactly right. I actually found that out in my own life that not necessarily deflecting, but re-engaging by asking, a, particularly an open-ended question, always gets the heat off of you and makes them talk about whatever else the question was. So I love that. But speaking of getting more information from you, I think that might be a good segue to Janet. Where can people reach out and find you? How can they get in contact with you?
I'm all over social media on Facebook, Janet Mckay. And you can also come to my website, janetmckay.com. And that's probably the best places that you can find me. And I will reach out to you. I will connect with you anything that I could do to help you. If you want me to send you a couple of lists of things to just help you maintain and grow a healthier mindset, I'm there for you for that. And just I have some programs and just a whole bunch of stuff that's coming down the pike. And if you have a story to share too, we just love to share all the good stuff. Right, Jay?
Exactly. I love sharing good stories. Always good, positive, healthy stories. I love.
Yes, because we got to bite the bullet on negativity.
Yes, exactly. And speaking of bite the bullet, see, this is why I love Janet, people. I told you guys, I hope you guys are enjoying this so much because I know I am enjoying this conversation. But that was a perfect segue to get to the questions at hand. So if you've already tuned into the show previously, then you already know this has become one of my favorite moments because Janet has not seen these questions ahead of time. And these questions are meant to be thinking questions. So Janet is going to get through as many as she can. And she's going to answer these honestly and openly. Janet, do you accept the challenge?
I do accept the challenge. I am an open book. So is there a limit to the amount of words you want used or is this like rapid fire type situation?
We'll try to do our best at rapid fire, but sometimes the questions, depending on how you answer, it might start up a whole new conversation. So we don't know. It just depends on what the questions are.
Gotcha. I accept your challenge, Mr. Reese.
All righty. So the first question is, if you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oprah Winfrey. Top
okay.
Pick. Yes,
all right.
I would definitely have. She's always been a major idol of mine. So I envision having that dinner with her, and I envision sitting under her trees in the backyard and having. Oh yeah, I have this whole thing in my head going on with that.
Oh, trust me, I don't think she was my top three, but I could definitely see having a conversation in her backyard with Oprah. I would love that too. I definitely see that.
Okay, so Oprah Winfrey, I would definitely have to say she's been quite the inspiration to me. I would also, at this point, I really would also like to have time with Les Brown one-on-one, like just sitting there and jamming with him. These are all people that have really made an impact in me, you know, Oprah for years and years and years, and Les Brown too. And then also, I would actually like to become reacquainted with my first and third grade teacher, Mrs. Loenig. And I have not spoken to her since, obviously, I'm 53 years old, but she just was such an influence in my life. I just remember her as a teacher, and I would love to have a conversation with her to be like, so what have you been doing? Let me share what happened over 53 years, over the last 45 years. You know what I mean? And just let her know that she, to this day, she came to my house for dinner, which was like a big deal back in the day. And, you know, that, so off the top of my head, those would be three people.
I'm loving, oh, wow. I'm loving all those answers, particularly like the last one, going back, having a conversation with your dinner with your teacher from back in the day. Dope. That is dope. Okay. All right. Next question. But man, what's one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
Let's see, that I known when I began my career. Don't sweat the small stuff. Just small stuff. You know, don't get fully engaged into it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Good answer.
I'll say that. I'll say that.
All right. Cool. I think I have an idea of what you're going to say for your answer, but okay. What is your best tip for making the world a better place?
To be a drip that rips and not a drop that plops. Sorry.
It's all
How
good.
can I not say that?
That is the perfect answer. That's the perfect answer. I love it. I love
I mean,
it.
come on, you can see the whole logo. You know, I just did a whole intro video with the whole drip and the motion. I mean, it's very cool stuff. Like it's the visual that keeps on ripping.
I love it. It works perfectly. That was such a perfect question to have right then. That was perfect. What is one common myth about your profession or field that you want to debunk?
A myth or another about my.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that I guess that. Well, when you're dealing with kids and the lives, there's no blueprint to its success. The only blueprint to its success is you tuning in, tapping on, and connecting with your audience, with your teams, with the people that you are working with, and really just building those relationships. It's not you're just like we don't become parents because we were handed a manual. When it comes to working with kids or in anything that you're doing, you may get some guidelines, but there is no blueprint to how it really is going to go.
I hope everyone who's watching this, I really hope that you have a pad beside you, because Janet is just dropping all these, like, dude, I can't wait to go back and watch this, because this is nice. If you could turn back time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her?
Well, I have to break it in. If I could turn back time, if I could find a way. All right.
Oh, love some share.
You know me. I told you I have to. Yes,
love some share.
I
was right there with you.
I was right there with you. In share style, snap out of it. Maybe that's the answer.
Oh man!
But I think I just always go back to this too shall pass. That this is a blip. This is a moment. This is it's just a section. It's like it's just a moment. So this too, whatever it is, shall pass, because the past isn't anything we can now do anything about, because except learn from it, because it's already happened, and be in the now. Just be in the now, because we can spend so much energy worrying about that which is coming, and we don't even know what's coming yet.
Yes.
We don't have a crystal ball, as much as we would like one. My crazy 8-ball back in the day, I'm dating myself, right?
I had one too, so it's good. Oh man. So Janet, what makes you feel inspired or like your best self?
What inspires me is just helping other people find their joy.
I love that.
I want to help people know that how they show up, that their energy is felt before they even open their mouth, when they open up a room, when they enter a room. So that's it. When you just see people's joy. And that's why I also love working with the kids, because we need to get back to our childlike stages, where everything is like, wow, and everything has a magic button to it, and everything, we don't have to lose that just because we get older and we get bogged down with all these responsibilities. There is still magic in popcorn. There's still magic in, everything. And that's what I think we need to, that's what lights me up. That's what inspires me, is when I see other people seeing the magic and celebrating the miracles that are happening each and every day all around them.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes is the only reason why people stop believing in magic is because they choose to stop looking for it. So I love that.
Or creating
what advice, which I know you wear multiple hats, but what advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a similar path as yours?
Be open to the opportunities and jump in, especially in the beginning, as often as possible, because the key to so much of it is truly networking with other people. If you're living under a rock, there's no way they're going to find out who you are. And you need to be able to share your greatness with everyone. So the best thing is to just continue to find that which excites people, but have work ethic. That, if you say you're going to do something, you do it. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that's really, you want to make sure that you are relatable, reliable, and responsible. And I think that's just really, really, really important. So become an expert in your field for the whatever it is that you're doing, either at that time or what you're moving towards. So invest in making sure that you are becoming the best person, the best version of yourself as a person and in that what you do.
That's always good advice, I think, for anything in life, to be honest. But I love that. So our very last question here. It's a good one. Are you ready, Janet?
I'm ready. Should I do a drum roll? No.
You can if you like. You can if you like.
I just love talking with you.
Ditto. So if in 50 years science fails to save us all, and all that is left is a book about your life, what would the title be? And what would the blurb tell us about its contents?
That I made an impact and left the world a better place for being in the presence of the people I was with.
Oh, Janet is so awesome. So awesome. I love that. But what's the title?
I made an impact.
I made it.
With a drip in the end. I can't help it. That's just my thing.
It's all right. It's perfect. It's like, I love it. Like, for the first time I've heard your speech about the drips that rips, that has always constantly stayed in my mind. I mean, again, I've always been a very positive person. I've always been very conscious of trying to help people and be a positive influence to people. But when I heard you say be the drip that rips, it just clicked right then and there. And that's just a catchphrase that I'm sure will be world renowned and world known at some point in time. So Janet, the only last question I have, because I respect your time, and thank you so much for being on the show with us, and thank you for sharing your wisdom with the audience and your experience. My last question to you is there anything you would like to let the audience know? Is there any last words of wisdom or advice or just cool sayings that you want to give the audience?
I just want every person to know that you are truly magical and that you have been given these incredible gifts that have been sown into your heart, and to really unpack them, let them out, let them shine, and just celebrate who you are. Listen, you in your own authentic way are incredible. And try not to compare yourself or be like other people, because they're already taken. There's already a Jay Reese in the house. There's already a Janet Mckay in the house. So be who you are meant to be, so the world can get to know you. And that's my goal and desire for everyone.
Oh, and there is not much I can say after that except for thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm gonna leave that where it lay, and we will catch you guys in the next episode. See you guys later.
Thank you.